We'll move on to Leinster, and I suppose we'll discuss Carlow first of all. Like I think the team that finished just above Sligo was Carlow, and kind of similar to Sligo, went down from Division 3 the year previously. Had a few managerial changes, like Turlock O'Brien, Stephen Poacher not there anymore. I've given them an F, which might be a bit harsh. But I just think in their overall year, I think they've declined massively, unfortunately, since the year previous.
Yeah, look, Carlo, obviously similar to maybe Leitrim and Fermanagh we've touched on earlier. First of all, hurling might be a wee bit stronger in Carlo to first of all, and there's and I say they'd have a strong there'd be a lot of rugby in Carlo as well. So I understand maybe it definitely isn't within a big sport, Gaelic football, but Carlo very ambitious county, but I probably have to give them an E, just that managerial change, and look, they are the first. They're smaller in Dublin size wise, and there's not a lot of people commuting to Carlo, so it's just the way it works out. It's smaller than Inishowen, the peninsula I live in Donegal, so that really puts into perspective. But still, I think they've had a good, probably finished that but above Sligo and came down. Against Offaly, they gave goals and they really put in goals and they threw the kitchen sink. They play the game like I want the game. I have a soft spot for teams that probably go out and get goals rather than points, and that's the way they really looked to go. So did Offaly, to be fair. But Offaly, they've Niall McNamee, Dave Dempsey. Actually, some of the experience in that Offaly team is unbelievable, and I'm sure that they'll probably get promoted to Division 2 next year. I think. But look, and they're probably playing against a division, and this Offaly team that probably almost beat Kildare and Meath. So they probably were good that year, and they really held them close. But it was in Tullamore, and it's they're even without fans, the players are still used to the pitch, and I think they're still on the right track going forward. But sure, similar to Sligo, I can't see them having a worse season than the season before. So yeah, probably that way. Yeah.
And then I suppose we're talking about the lowest of lows with Carlow, but up next is Dublin. I've given them an A. It's an interesting one because normally the way I'm kind of judging these grades is if you achieve what you were supposed to, you get a C. If you slightly overachieve, maybe you get a B. If you really overachieve, you get an A. And it's Dublin they haven't really overachieved because they've kind of done what I suppose
done the last 5 years.
Yeah, I suppose what they were supposed to, but I've given them an A anyway because a team that wins the All-Ireland surely can't get anything less.
Surely not. It's a sound way. Say what you want. Even if they got relegated, they still will get an A. And they're right in the hunt, and probably they lack that motivation maybe in those. So they're probably unlucky to that extent. But look, I don't think there really needs to be that much. Westmeath probably will throw their heads out high because they're probably a team in Leinster giving the most battles. But Laois, Laois and Meath games, it was competitive for about 5 minutes. But yeah, look, they came out, done the 10 in a row, 1 in a row under Desi Farrell, as Kieran Whelan was saying. So definitely that way, Cavan came out, and I think Dublin gave Cavan their utmost respect. They didn't play an experimental team. They put out their strongest team possible, and they understand that Mickey Graham loves a good upset. And look, but they done it, and even though they were a Division 3 team, I think they done themselves proud, and then come to Mayo, everyone saying 2020 unrealistic year. I think I had a slight feeling Mayo were just going to do it. I just felt it was their day after probably underwhelming performances against Tipperary and Galway, but no. It just wasn't their day to be. And look, Dublin, they came out in the second half, and I think it was probably an improvement in overall Ireland finals. Probably it's not like Dean Rock kicking in the last kick of the game or sending them to replays to extra time or anything. Dublin done it within, from the second half onwards. Dublin looked to have had it in the bag, and probably they done it more convincingly than probably in the overall Ireland finals. Maybe just as good as the Tyrone final to an extent. So I think look, there's no other way to judge them. You'd have to give them an A. It's the biggest prize there is. It's it's like grading a team that won the World Cup at B. You just can't, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose Kildare after them, I've given them a D. Like I suppose first year under Jack O'Connor, like it's gonna take a bit of time really for them to I suppose, they've young players like Dara Kirwan and Jimmy Hyland and whatnot. But I just think that performance against Meath in the second half was just abysmal, really. So I might even be generous giving them a D. But what do you think?
I'll give them a D. I probably would have actually given them a B if they got to the Leinster final, because probably that's the best a non team can aspire. That's probably the best they can aspire to. But I'll probably give them that D. You know, they came out in, you know, they weren't really that good before lockdown, but you know what, really, you know, they probably lost a few games closely, but still they are Kildare, you know, and they have Division 1 experience, especially, you know, with population, you know, they definitely should be one of the best in the country, and their underage success. So definitely you need to take in the factor all those things. They're definitely not, you know, where they should be. And yeah, look, they got their act together, you know, come lockdown, you know, beating Cavan and all the rest, you know, getting things secured. You know, they're almost ready to Division 3, but look, you know, they avoided an embarrassment like Cavan, so fair play to them. And you know, they're definitely on the right track. You know, Offaly, right, they got held in by 4 points. You know, and you look back at the highlights. Offaly had a few maybe unlucky wides, but you know, Jimmy Hyland had more than 90% of his shots was converted into some kind of a score. You know, I might remember speaking to Kevin Feely, and you know, Kevin Feely himself, you know, look, you know, had a good year, especially, you know, they had Flynn back in the team. So definitely, you know, probably the right direction to go forward. But hopefully, you know, maybe get up to Division 1, get to the Leinster final if they're on the right side of the draw. And then, look, you know, the sky's the limit for Kildare. But I think a D is probably the fairest grade for this year.
And what grade would you give Laois? What would you go for them?
D, because probably, you know, I'll give them a C, because you need to remember they back-to-back promotions from Division 4 to Division 3, so like probably they were probably the underdog team, and a lot of people were probably predicting them to go back to Division 3, you know, and probably they're not like the team that probably played in Division 1 in the early 2010s. They're a different setup now. They're just not the same team anymore, you know. But they came out, you know, in this fight, even though they got a bit of a hammering off Westmeath, you know, another team that got promoted, you know, who we will touch on later. And yeah, but you know, they went out, you know, Longford, we've seen them beat teams like Monaghan in the past, you know, and they've beaten many other. They've beat, you know, and a lot of good Mullen active players and all the rest, you know, they're probably the best example of a banana skin team, but they managed to get over Longford, right? So, and then, you know, against Dublin, like, you know, they don't know what they could, but, you know, whatever. Dublin, you know, it's just Dublin or Dublin, the greatest team of all time. You can only do so much against them, and you know, I think it was probably they probably feel they should have been at the better side of the draw, and rightly so. But look, definitely, you know, and I think they might even be in a position maybe to finish mid-table or even a promotion hunt, you know, especially the way it's maybe divided with the top two and all the rest next year. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think a C is a fair one. Like they had, I think Downey Kingston wasn't in the team this year. Stephen tried, their captain, left, so they had a lot of like changes in that team. So I think a C is fair enough. As for Longford, they were, I suppose, close to promotion, just not close enough. They were beaten by Laois in the championship. They gave a good account of themselves. I've given them a C. I don't really know if they could have done much more. What do you think?
I've given them a D, and it's purely, you know, and it's purely not. It's not even that they probably might have got beat by Cork that day, but it's probably just the fact that they might have destroyed the integrity of the competition. I thought, you know, there was no positive COVID-19 cases in it, and it was in Longford. It wasn't like they were going down to Cork, and they even requested the Derry City game to be played outside of Derry City, which at the time was like the highest infected, you know, area in Europe for COVID-19. So look, probably that way. But look, they played in Derry, and even at that, Derry gave a good account of themselves at the end. But yeah, and I do got to feel probably for that reason alone, and yeah, all lucky there. But look, they stayed up and almost got promotion, so you'll have to give them the D. But the whole act like that, I think it's very, very. It just wasn't. We all want to see our Gaelic games played when possible and fair. In situations like Sligo's, fair enough. But look, you can't be just taking out games and postponing it for the sake of it. Because they probably should have went down the Donegal route of probably experimenting with the team, but no, they didn't. So I think the way they acted, and I think they have to get a D.
Yeah, and I suppose Loud. I mean, they've had an interesting season. Like they won one of their games, lost all the rest. Samuel Roy looks like a top class forward. Like probably just from the wrong county, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, a bit of a look. You're looking at you look at life. I'll have to give them an E, probably. Probably because the way Samuel Roy alone will put them up a grade, but the way they played, it wasn't too long ago they were in Division 2. Was it 2 or 3 seasons ago they were Division 2? Like, and
I think so.
The way they went down without, the way they did, it just made you think. Maybe they should have, maybe before, put up a better account of themselves and all the rest. Like, and against Longford, yeah, Samuel Roy got 1-7 out of their 1-7. I feel, I think we need to bring back the Railway Cup or the Aussie Rules series, because he needs to be, or I don't know what if he goes to like a top university or anything, but like he needs to be playing in a better team. Like that, but look, definitely, I think, not the best season for a team, that probably were even close enough to promotion the year beforehand. And I think, I understand they are physically the smallest county in Ireland. I think, you can put as many people as you want, it can only so much, and I understand, Drogheda, Dundalk, soccer towns really. But look, they're down now, and I think but in Division 4, surely maybe someone like Mickey Hart, he's definitely a player that I don't know how well he'll do with life, but he's definitely a man that's going to demand respect of every player. There's been players leaving the panel and whatnot, so I think they're definitely in that position.
No, I'd agree. Like I've given them an F. But yeah, I think like overall, like just getting relegated, their only win was against a team that completely changed all their players, I think, in Down. So I don't really think we can give them much more than.
They're already relegated as well by the time it came. Like, so.
Yeah. I suppose next up is Meath. I mean, I see. Yeah. Like I'm going with a D personally. I think. Fair enough. They got that great win over Wicklow. They were competitive in Division 1, put 5 goals past Kildare. But I just think their performance against Dublin, like, it was just very poor. Like I still think they can do a lot better. And I know Dublin beat Cavan very well and beat Laois very well and kind of beat everyone very well. But I still think Meath can do a bit more, in my opinion. And I think, and I think for Meath fans as well, I don't think they should really be satisfied with a D either.
Yeah. Look, maybe a lot of people probably don't do it, but look, me, as they were probably against other top teams in the Super 8s last year, they always have a good run them close. They play very good. Lost 4 points to Dublin. They actually, they probably should have beat Mayo that day, but look, Mayo will be Mayo, and probably even should have beat ourselves down in Navan. But we beat them 4 times in the last 2 years. We played them. So I'd be quite used to seeing me play. So probably, if there's a second county I know something that probably the county I probably the second most knowledge would probably is me, judging by the amount of times Donegal play them. But look, they're good, and they're definitely. I don't know, but they had Michael Newman injured. You need to remember, he is their talisman. does a lot. You know, Jody Morris really stepped up to the plate this year, and fair play to him. And they got that draw against Monaghan. You know, they were beating them for most of the game. You know, and Leaf had nothing to play for. Monaghan did. That was the difference between them two. You know, and you know Monaghan probably would have dropped off in that regard. But look, still, you know, it's all, you know, against Wicklow. Look, I understand they just got promoted from Division 4. They're definitely not probably, if there's a weakest county, you know, for both Gaelic football and hurling in history, probably would be Wicklow. Let's be honest about it. You know, so you understand. But look, 7 goals past them. You know, it's still a good performance against anybody. And Kildare, you know, I always say it's goals that win you games. You know, and they proved it. You know, even though they didn't really get that much points in goals, they got their goals. But knowing that they were probably, you know, I knew they were going to get. We probably, you know, could have, a lot of people could have seen that performance coming from me, you know, because the way it works out, like, you know, they weren't even that good against Kildare. They just probably goals sent them free. Like, Kildare were much the better team, but look, they had the right way forward. But look, I'm sure, you know, them and Mayo will be looking at probably getting back up to Division 1 next year, and definitely, you know, Andy McEntee has definitely took, you know, Meath football in the right direction, you know, and it's you know, it definitely should be, you know, back to the days of the late 90s, but look, it isn't, and that's just the way it is. So I see.
Yeah. And you were touching on Offaly as well. Like, I've given them a C. They've a couple of good young players coming through, Bernard Allen and a few other ones like you mentioned. What do you give them?
Yeah, I'll have to give them a C as well. I can't look, they didn't get the promotion, but look, they were really, really in the hunting pack late on, you know, and probably against the Derry game was probably, you know, you can't really judge that down in Tullamore, because with fair play to Derry for showing up and not pulling a Longford. But look, I think they definitely done themselves, you know, they done themselves right. They're definitely, you know, in the right, and you know, they're keeping on the management. You know, they all, you know, all the players seem to like them. They're definitely a very, very ambitious team going forward, and I think, you know, their minors getting to the Leinster final, it's definitely going in the right direction for Offaly. And probably, I was speaking to you know, Dave Dempsey on my own podcast, and he says, you know, that maybe Offaly, he doesn't want to sound like a snob, but they're definitely not a B team, and they aren't a B team. And I think, but look, they didn't get the results, you know, and they had that good one over Carter with the goals and all the rest, and they probably should have beat Kildare, but should have didn't won the race. So a C would be fair enough.
And Westmeath, I feel like they're almost in a very similar situation to Offaly as well. You know, not really a lot they could do with the fact they played Dublin in the first game, and actually, you know, came closer to Dublin than anyone else in Leinster. Even though, like, it wasn't played in Croke Park, so that could have been half the reason. But what do you give them?
I'll give them a C. You know, look, Westmeath, they done the job. They stayed up. They stayed. You know, they didn't really, you know, but and they stayed up for relative comfort. You know, they probably weren't going to, and you know, they were. Some were saying they were probably on the hunt for promotion. Fair enough, but you know, and they were really good. You know, Heasland's looking very good as usual. You know, and probably like Samuel Roy, probably born in the wrong county. But you're looking at it here. Yeah, ambitious team. And they're definitely going in the right direction. I think, you know, for the next 2 or 3 years, they could easily get roots up. But look, they didn't do it this year, and probably Dublin, it's hard to judge. You know, they're coming up. You know, they probably, you know, and you said they're similar to Offaly. Well, I think Westmeath, you know, would have probably wanted to be in the same situation as Offaly, where they were on the overside of the draw to Dublin. But look, you know, it's just the way it worked out, and they ran them close enough. So I think, you know, that deserves praise. But look, you know, Westmeath will feel just as disappointed as, you know, Leisure Meath. So yeah.
And Wexford, I've gone with a D for them. Like, they, like, you know, probably should have got promoted maybe from Division 4, but at the same time, they didn't get promoted the year previously. They looked a bit off. Paul Galvin stepped away, you know, just before the football return. So it's a lot of disruption. And yeah, like, what do you reckon yourself?
Yeah. I'll say it's probably that similar situation to Cardo, but I'm not going to give them the E grade like I gave them Cardo, because they actually put up a fight and actually looked ambitious. So fair play to them. But look, they played, you know, they were losing out to Wicklow, and you know, you look at it some other times, you know, look, and no disrespect, like, but most other years, Wexford would have probably had a convincing one over Wicklow. Like, no disrespect to Wicklow, they still a good, even though hurling comes first in Wexford, they still, that bit better than most of the Division 4 teams history wise and culture wise. So I think, they're definitely probably that thing. But I think Paul Galvin stepping away, probably there's that disruption. It's hard for the new managers after they were making probably the right progress, but they lost to Wicklow that one day, and they probably didn't have Wicklow probably had that momentum in the championship, and look, that's where they were, and then look, that's them done for, and that's enough for the year. But look, it's probably hard enough to judge them like other counties. But look, and especially without the back door. But certainly, I think it sees a fair enough result, because they still probably didn't meet that objective they wanted, but they still probably didn't embarrass themselves like other counties.
Yeah, and I suppose Wicklow, we were touching on them a bit there. Like, I've given them a B, which might seem very generous, but I do think they got promoted from Division 4. They beat Wexford in the Leinster Championship. They were absolutely demolished by Meath, but I do think like they've a couple of good players there, and I think they've done very well for the year that's in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially B. Yeah, I'll probably give them a B as well. Probably similar project. We were saying, in other teams, probably with the new manager, it probably takes a while to set in. But with Davy Burke, it's his impact set in straight away. I think they're definitely an ambitious. Getting that. Not getting actually the Division 4 title, I believe, or was it Limerick that got it?
It was Limerick who got it. Yeah.
It was Limerick who got it. Like, but still, there's still an ambitious team. And there's definitely a team and a fight. And even ever since probably I believe that 2012 Division 4 final loss to Fermanagh, they just never really got going as a team. But look, you hear now, they've had a somewhat good underage success. I think it was 2017 under 21s beat Dublin. So I think they're definitely on the right track going forward. But look, you look at it this way, they're a good team, and I think you'd have to be a B, because nobody was expecting them to beat Meath. But if they went on, probably got to the Leinster final or even beat Meath, maybe you would have given them an A, because nobody would have expected that. But they done absolutely everything they were expected to do, but they done it in good style, so we'll have to give them a B.
And then I suppose the last province then, Munster. We'll start with Cork first of all. I mean, I suppose you tipped them to beat Kerry earlier in the year, when not many did, but I can't imagine you expected them to lose to Tipperary either. So I suppose a real catch-22 for Cork in many ways.
Yeah, it'll have to be a B. They got, all right, Division 3, too big for Division 3. Cork are, under no circumstances should a county the size of Cork be anywhere near Division 3. But look, they done what was asked of them, and they were the only. I know Longford pulled out, and they probably would have beat Longford anyways, even with their B team. But still, they were the only team with a 100% record in the league. So you really have to take that into account. I know it's Division 3, but it's still, any of those Division 3 teams could beat like Donegal so it's definitely a good season for Cork, and beating Kerry. Not much explanation needed. Mark Keane got that goal, and if they won Munster, it'd probably go down as an A, no matter how they done against Mayo. But look, they didn't. Even without Sean Potter in the final, there probably, but look, it was just Tipperary's day. There was that, element and all the rest. Probably, first time in 5 years and over. It was obviously in a stark weekend, but look, they got the job done, when they caused the upset against Kerry, and Mark Keane will forever be known as the man from the AFL, I think. But look, look, surely they might even see themselves getting promotion from Division 2, but they have to go push next year. I see Ronan McCarthy's agreed to stay on another 2 years, so's Keane O'Connor and all the rest. So definitely, have faith in their team, and I think, and on my own team of the year, I do admit I was trying to get every county that made a provincial county represented. So I put Luke Connolly in it, which probably caused a bit of controversy over a missing Mayo player. But look, it's there now. So I think they deserve a B.
Yeah, I'm unsure really. I have a B as well, but apparently I just feel like, you know, losing to Tipperary in a final, just like really kind of you know, missing that opportunity that really probably won't come around again. Maybe, I mean, we don't know. Like,
yeah.
you know, so. But then again, at the same time, Luke Connolly goes off injured at halftime in the Tipperary game. Again, Sean Porter's injury as well. Like if Connolly was on the pitch, I think they would have won because I think they missed a couple of frees. And
well, watching the game, it almost seemed like, you know, it was almost like they were going to just close out the game somehow, even bring it to extra time and maybe do it that way. But no, they just, you know, it was just Tipperary's day in Páirc Uí Chaoimh and it happened.
And Clare, you know, I think you nearly even forget they were in the championship at some point. Like they played Tipperary before Tipperary played Limerick. I think a lot of people even forget they played Tipperary, but they did, and they were beaten. Probably disappointing. You know, they weren't relegated, but having got Gary Brennan and Jamie Malone back, you would have thought they would have done a little better. So I've given them a D.
I've given them a D as well. Look, they stayed up, albeit, you know, they probably had that advantage beating the second string Fermanagh team, but look, still, they got the job done, even though, you know, it was probably score difference and whatnot, probably which kept them in Division 2. You know, they're always near the drop in Division 2, but they just never go down. They're always they're that sort of team, but still, you know, the championship ups, you know. I mind speaking to Stephen Gleeson, you know, from Tip FM, saying, you know, that Tip and Clare, they're not doing that much difference to, you know, people look at it thinking, you know, Division 3, Division 2, you know, Clare should have the upper hand, but no, look, you know, it was just Tip State, even without Colin O'Riordan, who, you know, wasn't back from Australia yet, you know, or I believe he might have been quarantined, but look, look, they shouldn't have lost and especially the way they done. You know, they probably should have lost by more to Tip. You know, it's not like they lost by a point or anything like so. Yeah, you know, the championship's a big disappointment. You know, and with Cork and Kerry on the other side, Clare definitely would have had themselves, you know, aiming for a monster final. But look, they didn't get there, so I think a D is probably what they deserve.
And then for Kerry, I've given them an F, which might be surprising, but look, listen, they did win the league, and fair enough, you know, that's a big achievement in itself. But I don't know, like I feel like even if you were to ask Kerry fans, like for me personally, like even as a Dublin fan, like if Dublin won the league and then lost to Meath in a semi-final, Leinster semi-final, like I'd consider that a failure, like a very bad season. And look, maybe Kerry, they're not on the same trajectory as Dublin, like haven't won an All-Ireland since 2014. But I just think the amount of hype around them, and then they were just very abject in that Cork game. So I don't know. I can't give them anything more than an F, unfortunately.
I'll be a bit nice to the Kerry people. I think we'll have to see. I think you know, they won Division 1, a very, very strong division. You know, they went on, you know, probably if they got to an All-Ireland final, would have got a B. If they won it, they would have got an A. But look, I think a C is fair enough result. You know, and I think probably that game against Cork, I think it showed the magic of knockout football. But I don't think people were saying, oh, the back door was the problem of it all, screwing up that. I think it was more the problem of replays that was the problem, because I think, you know, if it was in normal circumstances, they would be level at half time. They would have been level after the game. The game would have been had to go to Killarney. Kerry gets their act together. You know, Mark O'Connor was in quarantine from out in Greenlawn in the AFL, so they definitely, you know, were on the right track. You know, and Kerry would have absolutely went out and probably would have beat Cork quite convincingly. So I just feel maybe there's that kind of thing missing them. You know, and they probably, you know, and like Donegal, the Cavan game, you know, probably and. I take a better responsibility for the Donegal side of things. Every time, you know, they put on the phone, turn on the radio, turn on the TV, there's all this talk about them being the big challengers for Dublin, all right, you know, and, you know, they will say, you know, they're not buying into it, but it probably psychologically, it probably is going into the players and management's head. But look, they've got on the right track. They've brought in, a professional strength and conditioning coach from Uncrana, Ryan McLaughlin, done a lot of good work with the Donegal hurlers. So definitely a big ceremony, and a bit of a shuffle in the backroom team. Peter Keane definitely would be a mad plan. I think they'll after the way last year, probably they're probably going to take the Munster Championship very serious next year, and probably maybe even retain that there. But I think probably the All Ireland probably wouldn't be their stone. I think Donegal, Tyrone, or Dublin would probably see themselves probably one of those three will probably win the All Ireland, but I can't see Kerry going on to do it.
And then Limerick, Division 4 champions. People forget as well they were very, very close to beating Tipperary if Sweeney didn't score that miraculous point towards the end. They would have been in a Munster final. So I've given them a B.
I've given them a B as well. Absolutely. Limerick probably, they and even if I understand we're taking into consideration the league and the league championship, but you need to remember back in January they won the McGrath Cup. Now I understand it's the Dr. McKenna Cup, the O'Byrne Cup. It's not big for small counties like Limerick that maybe see themselves probably a second bottom ahead of Waterford, who we're going to touch on later. I probably will have to, probably winning that as well. And they brought their momentum. They went out one Division 4, which I think, like Roscommon probably helped their grade. And, they have a bit of silverware. So 2 pieces of silverware, going to Limerick, and, in the hurling, I believe, they've about 2 or 3 pieces of silverware as well. So there'll be a lot of silverware in the southwest corner of the country. And I think, they could have beat Tipperary, and they actually caused the upset last year when they, well, it's a year and a half ago at the stage, but when they beat Tipperary, but look, at the Gaelic grounds, and look, it was probably, if any game was going to go to penalties, it was probably that game, but look, it didn't, and it, but look, they were unlucky to lose out to that monster point of Sweeney, and I'm sure the management and players were probably sitting at home on Munster Hino Day thinking, actually, that could have been us, and imagine, Limerick could have been the first county in a long while to win provincial titles in both codes, but oh well, that's the way it is.
Yeah. And Tipperary, I mean, huge success for them. Obviously, I've given them an A just for what they achieved, winning a Munster title. Like, I think if you win a provincial championship for a county like Tipperary, like especially in football, like I don't think it can be anything less really.
Yeah, I'll have to go give them an A as well. First time, 85 years. All the rest. Like, look, they done it. They absolutely done it. And look, it was probably if people of anyone who's been following Tipperary football, and I knew myself as a Donegal fan as they almost beat us in the under-21 All-Ireland semi-final back in 2010. This kind of success, that minor winning team of 2011, it's always been long overdue to an extent, especially the fact that they beat Dublin in 2015 under-21. It's almost like it's been, well, look, they got their act together. They got the same manager in David Power, so they definitely had the right people in charge. They had 2 Donegal men in the backroom team as well, Michael McGeehan and Charlie McKeever, so that always helps. But Paddy Christie as well. But look, very, very much, I know people say probably they slogged off against Limerick, but look, at the end of the day, I don't think Tipperary people care. It's that was a game where it was a local derby. Even in football, it's still form and everything goes out the window in those kind of games. But look, Tipperary done it, and fair play to them. They won the Munster title, and you never know, when it will be when they win another title, because these lads, will be the inspiration. And I think not even that, I think what they've done, there's probably in Tipperary, they're a really good dual county, and you'd find a lot of young lads would be playing football and hurling at underage level. But I think, the fact that they see a football team winning their titles, I think, that won't be the same drop-off rates in Tipperary football in years to come. I think, it's definitely going to benefit Tipperary football in the long run. It's more than just the senior men's team. There's going to be a massive impact, for at least the next 30 years.
Yeah, I'd have to agree as well. I think they're definitely gonna bring a lot more players through, and they'll definitely keep them, keep going. And who knows in 2021, but if I don't know what Colin O'Riordan's situation will be, but you never know. Like they definitely could. They could be thereabouts again.
Yeah, and I want to say, against Mayo, they scored 3-13, 3-13, as David Power pointed out, they missed 5 or 6 goal chances. So, if you really analysed everything, they probably feel unlucky that they never got to an All-Ireland final. So, I thought it probably, I know we're not doing plus or minus grades, but geez, I would have given them something above an A if they got to an All-Ireland final. I would have, have found some way, but look, they've definitely, it's a fantastic year for Tipperary, and yeah, look, fair play to them, and it's definitely in a better place.
And then I suppose last, but probably definitely least, Waterford. What do you give them?
I'll give them an E. I haven't given a single team an F because I think if there's one thing that went against them that was out of their control, they get that thing above the E, even though it probably didn't mean too much. But still, I still look, didn't really do too much in Division 4. We're probably the worst Irish team, I believe, ahead of London.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And yeah, look, I know their own London game goes put off due to COVID-19 travel restrictions and all the rest. So probably they probably would have seen London as a winnable game to probably give them that spring in their step, maybe to at least challenge Limerick. But look, they went out, and they even just I think they probably want to withdraw that game against Antrim. But look, Antrim were like, all right, we'll cut down your travel, and play the game in Dundalk. But look, sure, they went up and they got beat. Like, so I just think it's just not the right way forward for them. And yeah, look, I think like Sligo, they have to get better in 2021. They just even though Limerick, it probably was the easiest tie, and I think Limerick would have wanted Waterford too, but still, I think they probably, it almost looked like Limerick were a Division 2 or 3 team and Waterford were the bottom of the Division 4. But look, that's it, and I'm sure it's not the right way. But look, as mentioned, as your man mentioned, Corcoran, what do you call him again on your podcast?
Dara Corcoran, yeah.
Dara Corcoran, yeah. He was talking about, probably most of the team, a 23-year-old captain, most of the team are in their 20s. So probably, it's definitely, not many counties are in that situation. So it's definitely something, a unique situation. So I wouldn't rule them out of that. But look, still, I'll still have to give them an E.
Yeah, I've gone with a D, which might be a bit generous, but at the same time, I don't really know what can they really? They've been in Division 4 for a long time. Yeah, what can they really do? I suppose.
I don't know.
It's an interesting one, really.
There's definitely I don't know, because there definitely is, but it's not saying I'm not an expert in Waterford, but what I do know is that their ladies are a senior football team, like the free championships there. So surely if there must be participation numbers, if the ladies can play so at a high level, surely there must be something going on behind the scenes. But whatever, look, it was good. I'm sure it will get better in time for Waterford.
Yeah, definitely, and like you said as well, with Dara Corcoran, Conor Murray as well, two very top players there, and Benji Whelan stepped away now, so I don't know who they'll bring in, but I suppose we'll have to see. But yeah, look, listen, I suppose a very long video anyway. So I appreciate you jumping on anyway, and I'll link down your podcast and everything else down below. So cheers for coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.